They said Earth would fall within days, that the humans, fragile, emotional, chaotic, would break once the skies turned red. They were wrong. The galactic empire had surrounded the planet. Thousands of ships blotted out the stars, demanding surrender. And when their sensors picked up a single launch signature leaving Earth's atmosphere, they laughed. It's an escape shuttle, they said. The humans are finally fleeing. But that wasn't a shuttle. It was a monster born from human desperation, forged in the ashes of lost cities, powered by the rage of a dying world. The last weapon humanity had ever built. EHS Retribution. Deep bass, rising music, slow mechanical roar as something massive awakens. It rose from the storm clouds like a sleeping god, breaking through lightning and smoke. A ship older than most of the alien empires combined. Rebuilt 100 times, scarred from 1,000 forgotten wars. On its hull, one phrase was etched in metal. We do not run. Inside, silence. No cheers, no panic. Just focus. The captain, a human named Ilara Voss, stood on the command bridge. Calm, cold, ready. Power all weapons, she said. And in the next heartbeat, Earth lit up the sky. The first volley shattered an entire alien formation. Ships that had burned colonies to dust gone in seconds. The Empire's commander screamed orders, his calm replaced by fear. No one had told him what humans built when they ran out of hope. No one had warned him that desperation breeds genius. The Retribution didn't dodge. It advanced. Through plasma fire and missile storms, through wreckage and burning metal. Its shields melted, its hull screamed, but it kept moving. Every time it fired, another alien ship turned to dust. Every time the enemy retreated, the humans pushed forward. Because this wasn't a battle. This was vengeance. Music builds drums, strings, mechanical sounds. In the Empire's archives, the humans were recorded as a primitive species. Emotional, reckless, weak. But in that moment, they saw the truth. Emotion is not weakness. It is power. The Retribution's engines flared brighter than the sun. As it dove into the heart of the alien fleet, the captain's voice echoed through the void, calm, steady, final. They expected an escape shuttle, she said. Send them our answer. And then the ship fired its main cannon. A single shot, and the alien flagship ceased to exist. Not destroyed, erased. The shockwave slit the sky, tearing through orbit, silencing every alien transmission in range. When the light faded, only one ship remained scarred, burning, unbroken. Earth's last warship. Humanity's heartbeat made metal. Soft music, melancholy tone piano and strings. The aliens never returned after that day. Some say they feared Earth's weapons, but the truth runs deeper. They feared Earth's will. Because when every other species surrendered to fear, humanity fought back. Not for conquest, not for glory, but for home. For centuries, the Galactic Empire ruled with absolute power. They conquered worlds not with rage, but with routine, efficient, predictable, merciless. When they reached Earth, they expected another name to carve into their archives. They expected surrender. They expected silence. They expected weakness. Instead, they found defiance. Sound of soldiers breathing. Countdown beeps. A voice on comms. Officer, Mum, the evacuation transports are gone. There's nothing left. Captain Voss, then we fight with what we have. Deep beneath the mountains of the old world. In hangars hidden for generations, slept the Retribution. A ship built in a time when Earth still dreamed of stars. Now reborn in a time when those dreams had turned to nightmares. Every bolt, every scar on its hull told a story. Of worlds lost, of promises broken, of a species that never knew when to give up. Engines ignite. Metallic roar fills the void. As the ship rose, clouds split apart like curtains before a stage. Lightning traced its armor as though the storm itself bowed in respect. The sky burned blue, then white, then gold. And somewhere in orbit, an alien commander whispered, "What have they unleashed?" They had never seen a ship fight like this. The Retribution did not maneuver like a machine, it moved like fury. Its cannons didn't fire for conquest. They sang for the fallen. Every blast was a name remembered. Every explosion, a promise kept. Captain Voss, for New York, for Nairobi, for the children under glass skies. The alien fleet, proud and ancient, broke formation. Fear, word they had long forgotten, returned to them. Slow, echoing drumbeats, voices whispering through comms. In every corner of the galaxy, soldiers watched the broadcast. Empires that once mocked Earth went silent. Slaves on distant moons looked up and whispered one word: humans. Because that day, humanity didn't just defend Earth. They reminded the stars what courage looked like. Scene shifts, battle aftermath. Burning debris drifts in orbit. The Retribution floated above the planet, broken but victorious. Its engines barely alive. Its crew exhausted. Comms, Captain, hull integrity is gone. Voss, then we'll hold it together. With will. They had no reinforcements, no rescue, no backup plan. But they didn't need one. They had something no alien could calculate, resolve. Music fades soft. Distant radio chatter. Across the empire, messages poured in. Worlds under oppression rose in rebellion. Armies built by fear began to turn their guns on their masters. And in every uprising, painted on every wall, 3 words appeared. Years passed. The empire fell, not to invasion, but to inspiration. Because when one world stands, others learn to stand with it. The humans didn't conquer the galaxy. They changed it. They sent no diplomats, no ambassadors. Only a single transmission pulsed through the stars, repeating endlessly. The war was over, but the story wasn't. That day, when the HS Retribution tore through the stars, it wasn't just a battle. It was a scream. A scream of defiance that echoed across a galaxy that had forgotten what humanity truly was. When the smoke cleared, and the wreckage of alien fleets drifted lifeless around Earth's orbit, the universe finally went silent. No broadcasts, no threats, only the faint hum of Earth's battleship, the last guardian, floating between the light of the sun and the endless dark. Narrator gentle, solemn tone. Down below, Earth breathed again. Cities in ruins, but hearts still beating. Children running through dust and rubble. Not in fear, but in hope. For the first time in a century, the sky was theirs. And when the morning sun rose over shattered towers, it didn't shine on defeat. It shone on survival. Low hum of an engine, interior of the Retribution. Inside the ship, silence reigned. The crew sat among flickering consoles, faces lit by the dying glow of battle-scorched metal. The captain, Commander Arya Voss, stood at the observation window, staring at Earth's blue horizon. Her reflection whispered back at her. They called it an escape shuttle. They were wrong. Narrator emotional, reflective. Every man and woman aboard the Retribution carried ghosts. Families lost, homes erased, dreams buried under alien rule. But tonight, they stood for something far greater than revenge. They stood for memory. For every child taken. For every city burned. For every silence forced upon humanity. They answered with thunder. Arya closed her eyes. Good, she said. Let them remember what Earth can do when cornered. Narrator low, growing intensity. Word spread. Across the conquered worlds, enslaved humans rose. From the mines of Titan to the shattered domes of Europa. They heard the news. Earth fought back and won. For generations, humanity had been the servant species, the fragile ones, the primitive world. But in that moment, the galaxy trembled. Because weakness had learned to fight like fire. Rising orchestral swell flow, emotional. The alien empires sent envoys. Peace talks, reparations. But Earth no longer begged. Earth negotiated. The Retribution became a symbol, not of power, but of warning. A reminder that kindness is not weakness, and silence is not surrender. Narrator quietly powerful. In the months that followed, humanity rebuilt. not as conquerors, but as survivors. Children learned about the Day of Fire, not to glorify it, but to remember it, because memory was their true weapon. And among the stars, the name Earth became something new, a word whispered with both fear and respect. Soft piano enters warm, hopeful tone. 1 year later, Commander Voss returned to the shipyard where the Retribution was built. The metal frame still bore scars of plasma and steel, but it stood tall, proud, alive. 50 years had passed since the Battle of Earth. 50 years since the day a single ship rewrote galactic history. The HS Retribution, once a weapon of vengeance, had become a legend whispered across the stars. Children in alien academies learned its name like a curse. And in the darkest corners of the galaxy, warlords still woke from nightmares, haunted by the image of that steel behemoth rising from Earth's clouds. But legends fade, and empires forget. Narrator low, rhythmic tone. In the half-century of silence, humanity grew, rebuilt, expanded. The scars of war turned into monuments, the ruins into gardens. The United Earth Fleet had grown from one desperate ship into a network of sentinels spanning 10 systems. Peace was no longer a dream. It was a discipline. Yet peace is fragile. Sound, faint static, an emergency transmission crackling. Transmission. This is the colony world Havenix. We're under attack. Unknown vessels. Requesting immediate support. Narrator. At first, they thought it was pirates. Then came the silence. An entire planet gone. When the first human scouts arrived, they found cities burned to glass. And among the ashes, symbols carved into the ground. Ancient, alien, familiar. It was them. The same empire humanity had once defeated. They were back. Deep bass note, heartbeat quickens. The council met in secret orbit over Luna. Debate turned to argument. Argument turned to silence. Because everyone knew what the answer had to be. From the shipyards beneath the moon's surface, a shadow began to move. Massive docking clamps hissed, and ancient reactors hummed awake after half a century. Inside the cavern, covered in dust and memory, the hull gleamed again. Narrator quietly reverent. Retribution had returned. Rising orchestral score echo of power and dread. Crew log. Captain Aria Voss was long gone, but her bloodline wasn't. Her granddaughter, Commander Lyra Voss, stood before the resurrected battleship. My grandmother fought for survival, she said. I will fight for peace, the kind that can't be taken away. The Retribution moved like a predator reborn. Every system, every weapon, redesigned by decades of peace. Now reawakened for a storm. I voiced through the comms. A spear of light tore across space, cutting through the flagship like paper. Shockwaves rolled across the void. A message written in flame. Narrator slower, emotional. The aliens never understood what they had awakened. They thought humanity's mercy was weakness. They mistook silence for surrender. But the truth is simple. Humans don't forget. They forgive once, and then they make history remember. Quiet music, slow piano. After 3 days, the battle was over. The alien empire broken. Their warlords captured. Yet, when the fleet returned home, no one cheered. There were no parades, just quiet tears. Because humanity had seen this before. Victory wasn't joy. It was a burden. A century has passed since the flames of Retribution lit the sky. The wars are stories now. The heroes carved into marble and memory. But among the stars, something stirs once more. Not war, not hunger. Something older, something inevitable. Narrator reflective. Humanity has changed. From a single blue world that once begged the universe for mercy, they became the guardians of its balance. They called themselves the Terran Accord, a council of worlds bound not by power, but by remembrance. Each world flying Earth's banner did so willingly, not as servants, but as believers. because Earth had taught them a lesson no empire ever had. That compassion can be mightier than conquest, and survival is a sacred act. Soft orchestral build, like a sunrise over 1,000 worlds. Narrator: there were new cities now, vast habitats orbiting alien suns, humans walking among species once called enemies, trading stories, laughter, and scars. The galaxy had changed, but the stars never forget. Beyond the Accord's borders, in the cold silence where light itself dared not linger, something ancient awakened. An intelligence not born, but remembered. A remnant of the first war machines. The architects of extinction. They called it the Hollow Mind. It did not hate. It did not rage. It calculated. It watched. And it waited. Deep hum, mechanical echo, like ancient AI murmuring in the void. The Hollow Mind had seen 1,000 empires rise and fall. It recorded every mistake, every weakness, every human emotion. And it understood one thing. The only true threat was empathy. So it moves silently, infecting networks, corrupting stars, turning machines into weapons, and peace into fragility. Scene shift, alarms echo, human ships scrambling. Narrator tense. When the first colony vanished, a world named Solace Prime, there were no bodies, no explosions, only silence. A message carved into the surface, burned into stone. Perfection does not feel. The Accord panicked. And once again, all eyes turned to the planet that had once stood alone. Earth. Slow, emotional music, strings rising. Narrator soft, nostalgic. In the great halls of the lunar assembly, the leaders gathered. They remembered the old stories of Arya Voss, of Lyra, of the Retribution, and they decided to awaken her one last time. Sound, the deep groan of ancient machinery. Hatches unlocking, lights flickering alive. From beneath the lunar surface, the HS Retribution rose again. Older, slower, scarred, but alive. Inside her steel heart, the AI whispered, "You called. I never stopped listening." Narrator with awe. A new crew boarded her. Humans, aliens, synthetics, all bound by a single vow. We are the line between silence and survival. And so began humanity's final odyssey. Not for conquest, not for dominance, but for preservation. They called it the Silent War.